Gründerkanalen nummer 44. Hei, det Gry Sinding, og velkommen til Gründerkanalen pluss mye mer. Vi blir jo snakke om alt mellom himmel og jord som skaper gründersuksess, og skaper det aller beste, mest rocka liv. Så la oss hoppe i dagens episode. I dag skal jeg møte en av de aller kuleste damene jeg vet i hele verden. Brown er coachen min, men hun er ikke bare det. Hun har en sånn track record som ikke ligner maken. Hun har blitt entreprenørguru for women av Business News Daily. Hun er en av de topp 500 selskapene her i USA, 500 Inc. som det kalles. Woman to Watch by Forbes. Hun har blitt utnevnt til en delegate av United Nations, altså FN, når det gjelder entreprenører. Hun har blitt nevnt av Ernst Young, og i tillegg så har hun vært på et show som heter Secret Millionaires på ABC. Hun har en egen podcast som er høyt ratet her, som heter Glambition. Hun har altså en track record som er bare til å svime av. Og likevel så er hun bare en av oss. Og i denne episoden av Gründerkanalen så skal du få møte damer, og vi tuller og vi ler i denne episoden, men en av de tingene jeg tar med meg fra er det at hun er så genuin. Og også det hun deler, ikke sant? Hun er en av de som hjelper damene å tro på seg selv, og hun sier det flere ganger i intervjuet at du må tro på deg selv som du aldri har trodd på deg. Før de andre gjør det, og jeg synes det er så herlig når hun bare starter og sier bare «Hei, jeg er en av de aller beste i verden». Og den sikkerheten at hun tror på det, gjør det at det er ingen tvil om at vi andre også tror det. Og hun er det, altså. Denne dama har mer av kredibilitet enn noen andre noen gang intervjuet, og jeg vil at du skal oppleve henne og lære fra henne. Og jeg spurte henne, tror du hvem som helst kan klare det? Og du vil lytte til dette svaret, for det er bare rått. Jeg håper du digger denne dama like mye som jeg gjør, og jeg gleder meg så til å høre hva du tar med deg fra dette intervjuet. So thank you, first of all, for being here. I have just introduced you before we recorded this as my superstar and how you helped me and how we get to know each other. But welcome to Gründerkanalen.
Thank you. I'm in my home office today. Your place looks great. Where are you?
I'm at home. Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely. In New York?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And you're where?
Scottsdale, Arizona today.
Awesome.
Yeah. The kids are out, so it should be fine for a while.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit, for those who don't know Allie, believe it or not, who are you and what do you do?
I'm one of the most recognized coaches for women entrepreneurs in the world. I've run both large programs and intimate workshops. I've been doing this for a long time. But I got my start really online. That's what changed everything for me. And we really take for granted this time that we're in, that there's really no barrier to access. I mean, anyone can get started online. The downside is there's so much noise and confusion that we have to keep things simple. I know that's what you do for people, Gray, and you do such a great job at it.
Thank you. So you have 2 kids, and you being a mom with twins, and I have 2 kids, and sometimes it's bit struggle for me, at least, how to be a good business person and doing my thing, and then being a good mom. Do you have ever struggled with that, or, the balance thing? How does that feel for you?
I really do. And, it's funny. I was backstage at an event 2 weeks ago and with some high-level people, like a woman from Inc. magazine and these other, and one of them was commenting how much she hates this question because she thinks it's very sexist. But I love this question because you know what? Things are different for women. It just is different, especially when we have kids. So I love this question because the first thing I think of, and this is my own fault, but the first thing I think of when I see a successful woman who has also a great family life, I'm like, how do you do it? How do you do it? How? I want to know how. And I think my best answer is I've realized it's messy. It's messy. and it's never perfect, but I'm really having a great time. And I think where I had to give myself permission was for me, I was always going full bore at the business, and I had to have the biggest programs and be doing the coolest things all the time. And then when the kids came, I couldn't do that anymore. And that was hard for me to admit, Gray. Like my ego was crushed, like if I couldn't still have like the biggest programs and the best events and everything. And then over here were these little kids, and it was just amazing. And I finally met this great guy. I mean, I waited so long. And then, and I did not want to be that woman who had to shrink over here to be a good mom. So I really struggled with this the first year. And then I think you find your own dance. You kind of find where you feel good. And I realized I had to tap into making an impact in a different way. And realizing too that for me personally, it was a big awakening, because I realized I'm actually not a teacher, I'm a leader. And I work with leaders just like you. Mm. And that is where my biggest impact is. And so give yourself permission to kind of find that place. And it's still not perfect. It's crazy all the time. I mean, if you could see behind here, it's a mess. Literally, it's physically a mess. I used to have a perfect home, everything was beautiful. And now, I've just come to a really great place that I really do I feel very good about what I've created. It never feels perfect, but it feels good.
You're so right. I mean, it is kind of a sexist question, because I don't think the guys get it. But I also feel like many women that I teach, or where I'm a teacher, is that they do feel guilty.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that guilt, and how do you stop it?
Yeah, and I'm not even Catholic, I'm like, is that Catholic or Jewish guilt? I'm like, I'm neither. It's like, must be guilt, I guess. When I'm with the kids, I'm thinking, I should be doing this or that, or I should be working on my new workshop, or, I have a sales page for an event coming up in London, Repower London, that's been sitting here for 2 weeks because I've had to handle some family things. And so it's one or the other all the time. And I was just in Paris for a week on business, and it was fantastic, but I missed the kids terribly. So just know that you'll never feel totally, in at balance. Yeah. It's messy, but it's still good.
It's still good. I love that. You've been in this online world for over 10 years now, and you were like one of the first one and at the top. And I bet you've done a lot of trial and fail, but you actually did it. What do you think is the differentiations between those who make it and those who does not make it?
The women and men who are still around after a long time have treated this as a business. And I think where a lot of people, you see them they're a flash in the pan and then they disappear, is when, launching is not a business model. Launching is a fantastic tool that you use in your business. It's how you get the word out, blah, blah, blah. But you've seen some of these guys over the years, it's just continual launches and there's no sustainable business. So as you're launching and learning all this stuff, you absolutely have to learn that. It's part of the model. But look at your long-term income goals. Look at long-term for your business. At least, even for some people, it's a stretch to look 2 years. And I think, honestly, 2 to 3 years, you don't need to look past that. Things change too quickly. You don't know what you want to be doing in 5 years. I don't know what I'll be doing in 5 years. But I like to look 18 months to 3 years out and start looking at how this can become sustainable for you. Are you going to be adding in long-term passive income? Are you going to be doing more personal work with people? Are you going to be creating some type of product or app that can be scalable and grow? To start while you're focusing on the present, right? Because you got to keep the cash flow coming in. Make sure about, I'd say about once a month. Once a month is when I have my money day. And this may not work for everybody, but it's a great tip that if I don't have a day to kind of worry about the future and money and income, then it's kind of in there all the time. But if I have thoughts come up saying, wow, I got to really look at that and I got to do my projections, I'm like, all right, that's the certain day of the month that I sit down. I'm like, okay, it's time to worry. It's time to think about all this and think about the long term and what I'm doing now to set up for that. Am I saving enough money? Am I watching my costs enough? Those things that it's not the fun part of the online business. But if you start doing that, being a little disciplined in that area, it'll change your life.
So women, at least I might be wrong, but I'm just thinking that many women that I am about, we just don't want to think about money. We want to do good, and the money comes in like, no, that's too masculine. I don't want to be about the money. But then we have to think about the money. How do you feel, what's the balance there? I mean, to be the helper in the industry and the leader and still be able to make money?
I think it all goes together. Do you feel there's a choice sometimes?
I feel that if I talk too much money, people like kind of look down. Oh, you're in for the money. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a struggle inside of like, of course I want the freedom that comes with the money, but it's like, it's still in Norway, it's a taboo. Nobody can talk about the money.
Right.
I don't know
I've
why.
experienced that too in some other countries. When I go speak, it's a different, culture. It's a different feeling.
Mentality. Well, in the States, it's more about, oh, of course you got to make money. But for us, it's like, no, we don't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, here's what you do need to remember. And this is the sad part, is if you don't make that a priority, and I'm not saying make it all you're about, but I'm saying it has to be a priority in your life to take care of yourself and your family. If you don't have a plan for that, then you will lose your dreams. And you will lose your impact, and you cannot make a change when you are constantly worried about money. Now, you'll always have to be concerned, and believe me, I've had points in my life, I've had a lot of money, and it doesn't solve your problem. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but more zeros, more stuff, right? But you need a plan for this, and you need to make it a part of your business model. If it's not part of your business model, then you really don't have a business, because the word business and the core reason for having a business is to create a profit. The profit can do amazing things, but you have to make sure that that is a priority for your business. I'm not saying for you personally or your life's work or any of this. I have personal purpose and things in the world, and the money doesn't have to do with that. But my business, damn right, that's a large priority, because that fuels everything that I do. And I'm in a unique position now that, I'll share with you, when I met Brett, my husband, he was working, had a nice 6-figure income, and then we decided for him to stay home with the kids. And this was a big decision, believe me. And it's a longer story, but just so you all know, we tried everything. We had a lot of help and then no help. We just kind of tried on different things.
Models.
And we decided that because, I have a great business, everything's going well, I'm the breadwinner now. And there's more pressure with that also. And I had to get even smarter with that. But I think a lot more women are going to be in this position soon. So just taking time to learn a bit more and embracing this as part of life. It's kind of, you just have to. You have to.
Yeah, you do have a lot of pressure. You have, you were dubbed as the Forbes Women to Watch. You have a fast-growing company. And now you're the breadwinner. How do you deal with all that pressure?
I drink a lot. Yeah.
I had my breakdown. I was calling you, Holly, what do I do? And you said, like, go to the spa. It's totally normal to have a breakdown.
Coach's orders. I said, you need a spa day. And I said, don't just get the regular massage. Get the hot rock 2-on-1 aromatherapy.
I know. It's like, well, how do you do it? I know you're kidding when you say you drink a lot, but how do you deal with that pressure? Do you have breakdowns? And how do you get back up at the top?
I realized I couldn't do as much as I wanted. And that was a hard realization. This is my personal story, right? For me personally. And I had to figure out very quickly what, of all the things I wanted to do, what was most important, not only for income, but for me to fuel because this is part of my purpose. I have to feel like I'm making a difference every day. So what are the most lucrative paths to that where I can make the most impact? And I had to peel everything else away. And that was hard because I was running some big programs and working with a lot of people. And I had to sit down and say, gals, I'm shutting down this program, and I love you all, but this is where I need to go right now. And this feels great because right now, honestly, I probably work about 3 days a week. Sometimes it's spread out. Sometimes it's all concentrated. But I had to make some changes. And so when you are having the breakdown, and believe me, every woman I've talked to or coached, and even these super high levels, this happens. The breakdown is part of the process. And it's simply your red flag to say, okay, what can I either delegate or delete, honestly? Delegate or delete. Those are the two things. You should already be automating everything you can. Think of ADD, the automate, delegate, delete. And And there are a lot of projects I'd love to do right now. I've had a book, proposal on my desk for 3 years. But I just give myself permission to do just a portion of this right now, and know that there's no competition for your life purpose. I think sometimes we get scared that if we don't do this all now, we're going to lose our chance, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I just feel that in my body when I say that. Like, I feel like if I slow down, I'm going to lose my place and lose my opportunity. And, the world is changing so quickly. There's going to be more and more amazing opportunities. So pick one that you're really passionate about that can make you money right now and start there.
So that was one of my issue when I started with you, is like there's so many opportunities, and the more you get successful, the more opportunities you get. And when you try to take them all on, there's no more time for life. So how do you know what to choose out of those golden opportunities that might not be golden?
That's a great point, Gree, because I really find more of our success as you become more successful. In the beginning, success is all about saying, yes, 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 I'm going to take this on. I'm going to go to every freaking seminar. I'm going to go and I was everywhere. I mean, and I was just doing everything. And then the last 5 years, really more of my success has come from saying no. And part of this is literal, because I literally will just need time. But then part of this is energetic, because the universe does not like when you have space in your life. It doesn't like a vacuum. It will fill it in. And so concentrating on what you want to create, thinking that year or two ahead. This is why you have to do the thinking ahead. Think a year or two ahead where you want to be, and say yes to only opportunities that align with that. If there was ever a time, whenever I've said yes to an opportunity because it was for the money, or it was easy, but maybe something, or a client, maybe you probably have this, a client came and you're like, I don't know if they're a good fit, but they're going to pay in full. So you start thinking, oh, how bad could it be? Right. Yeah. And then, every time you make those decisions later, you're like, ugh, that was the wrong decision, And this is the hard part, because this is part of the magic and the faith and believing. But keeping your eye on where you want to go and only saying yes to opportunities that align with that. That will change your life. But you have to be very clear and trust. That's the hard part. Trust the process.
I think that's one of the great things I've taken from working with you, when you are so good at aligning me, where does this fit into the long term? Because there will come amazing stuff all the time when you do amazing stuff. But having the faith to say no to amazing things is just hard. But I think that's why I reach my goal faster with working with you, because you have that 2 year ahead all the time and thinking strategically. So, and positioning.
And you are both a teacher and a leader, Gree. You're very unique because you're such an incredible teacher, and you get down to detail. I mean, all the women in our group, if they say, I want the latest on the launching and the webinars, I'm like, don't even talk to me. Talk to Gree, because I don't keep up with this stuff anymore. When I started, it was like there was one way to do it, and now there's like 100 ways, and you're always on top of it. But you really are seen as a leader to a lot of women who follow you, and it's somewhere that that I've loved working with you on, and the positioning of that too, and looking at where do you want to make impact in a few years, and how is this going to fuel where you're going.
Thanks. So many women comes from that part, there's so many options out there, the technical stuff that, and there are so many technical stuff with, starting an online business. So, and I kind of love that. I mean, thank you so much for giving all that. Oh, I'm so grateful for you. I'm just blushing, but well, we're not very good in taking compliments. But I was thinking of all this technical stuff to start an online business. Do you think there is like an age range, or when we are too old for going into this? Because many of my age and older think that, this is just too technical. How I'm
going to... Oh gosh, no. I mean, look at what we can do with these now. Look at what we can do with these. And actually, it's so funny. You're ahead of this than me. I just wrote my team. I'm like, I look really good today. I want to do one of those Facebook Live things. And the girl on my team's like, you can't do it from your laptop. I'm like, why? She's like, you have to do it from your phone. I'm like, oh, crap. So she's
go ahead.
She's sending me screenshots like, click this,
Oh,
do
it's
that.
so
But
fun.
look, like this is where everything's going. And this has forced a lot of people to get up to speed on basic technology. Everything is so easy now. Look, you don't even need a website to make money now. You could just use social media. You have people, there's all kinds of templates. Back when I started, I hate saying that, it sounds so old, but I mean, I was doing HTML code.
Wow.
I just figured it out. I took a little course on AOL, and I would hire a designer to do a basic page, but then I could go in and do updates and figure things out. And now it's just, you can get beautiful templates. And what you need though is an idea. You need an idea for something that people will want. And then I'll tell you what's priceless and sometimes is not teachable is the communication. That you have to be able to communicate with people. I mean, whether it's on video or writing or, maybe you like to speak, you could do webinars and teleseminars and teach something that you know. There's really, if you have a gift for that and you know that like people ask you questions and like to know what you think or want your advice, that's priceless. That means that you have really something that you should go with now.
I was never thinking about being an online marketer, but then I was just looking in my books and they were all about self-help and marketing. And I'm like, okay, just pick one. And I picked the self-help and then I transitioned back to business. So my business doesn't look the same thing as it did 5 years ago and probably will not look the same in 5 years.
Well, it all goes together because when you start a business, you have to believe in yourself more than you've ever believed in yourself in your whole life. I mean, you're investing in you, right? And it's so funny because we put so much trust in the government. We put so much trust in financial plan. We'll hand strangers thousands of dollars and say, here's my retirement funds. You pick where they should go. Yes. But then suddenly when we invest in ourselves, even if we pay for a course or coaching, suddenly it brings up all our issues. And it is self-help. I mean, they go perfectly together, which is why you're doing so well with this.
Oh, thank you. So what is the biggest mistake you've done in the business? I mean, that's what we learned the most from. What would you say, like, it's been your biggest learning experience?
There was one point several years ago that I stopped trusting myself and started trusting someone else. It was a mentor that I had came across, and I was just starry-eyed about this person and did everything they told me to do. Even when sometimes I was like, this doesn't feel right, or this doesn't seem like it's necessary, or I don't feel like this is the right direction. She was like, no, this is what you have to do, and you have to do it this way, and you have to be like this person. And so I just did everything. And then I found I was in a place that I kind of turned around and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Yeah. So I started changing everything. But is it a mistake? Yes. However, I believe that everywhere we've been is meant to get to where we are. So I don't think I'd be so clear and confident today in myself unless I had gone through that process. So it was absolutely something that I regret from a financial point of view. And it was painful emotionally, because we really trust people sometimes and then get blindsided or backstabbed. And there's more to the story that I won't go into here, but I felt very betrayed from something that happened and clients being stolen. And it really got messy. And it was very hard for a while until I realized how strong it's made me today and how clear I am and always, always trusting what I'm feeling. And even if I don't understand it, just taking a step back and saying something doesn't feel right, let me just sit with this. There's no rush. I don't have to sign this today. I don't have to do this today. Let me just step back and sit with it. Because if it's really meant to be, it'll keep coming back to you.
It will. Oh, that's so genius. Well, one of the hardest part of having my own business and growing is hiring the right people. You were talking about trust, and in my experience, trusting other people with my baby is like just as hard as hiring a nanny for my kids.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that, especially when you get burned in one situation? How do you trust people and how do you pick them?
Something I learned from Dan Kennedy, who many of you know, he's the old grumpy marketing guy. I learned so much great stuff from him. He was fantastic. He always said, hire slow, fire fast. And it's usually the opposite, because we find someone, we're like, you come help me now. Like, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. We wait until we're freaking out. It's too late. And then we just throw stuff at them and we somehow think that they're going to work like we do.
Yeah.
I think the biggest wake up call for me is that even for years, I had a business partner and a great team, but no one ever will work like you. No one will ever think like you or work like you. So you have to kind of take a deep breath, step back, start with the things that are very easily delegatable. You'll still have to do a lot of the brain work. And I kept wanting to give that away. It's exhausting, right? Yeah. But this is your gift, and this is why we're entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And so I've gone through a lot of team members, and I think, you'll start knowing after a few people, and you know this great, like you'll start seeing the red flags sooner and sooner and be like, oh, this isn't going to work,
But how do you get rid of people in a nice way and not burning bridges?
Because we're American and we can do. I'm just kidding. Here's its big tip. Here's a big tip. If you're having these conversations, make it about the position and not the person. So instead of saying, you know what, I don't think you're doing a great job. You're just not getting this done quick enough. You don't have the right skill sets. You can just say, you know what, I don't think this position is the right one. This isn't a good match for the position. Do you see how I'm taking a step back. I'm taking the personal part out of it, saying, the position is changing. It's going to require different skill sets. So we're going to continue our search. Here's money for the week. Thank you. Have a good day. Awesome. That's the Allie Brown method. But
I love that.
Just taking the personal part out of it. And usually what's very interesting is they'll kind of know. They'll know maybe if it's not a good fit. They may not admit it, but usually it's best for them. They can go off and find a better job.
Yeah, you're so right. So many times I've been talking to you about it, and I knew when I was listening to myself talking to you about this position, and you were like, are you not hearing yourself? This is like a flag. But, doing that when you sit by yourself, it's very hard to see the red flag if you don't have any.
Yeah. And they may be helping you a bit, and you're just so, we handle so much that we're like, all right, is some help better than no help? Should I tolerate this for now?
Yeah.
It's, there's no easy answer, but, and I do think of all the women I coach, team by far is the number one issue that everyone deals with. I mean, especially in even the multiple millions, then it's just different team and who to bring in and what level and how much to pay them and how to fire them. And do you expect them just to do their job, or how do you get them to think and take initiative? And so I'm not an expert in that department, but I've been through a lot. And so
I love your advice. So being at the top of your industry, what do you think the top 3 trends will be, like impacting our industry the next 2 years to come?
You know what's interesting? I've really gotten to know this woman. Her name's Louise Guido, and it's fascinating that she deals all with mobile. And I'm fascinated with developing countries and emerging markets. And did you know, maybe you knew this already, but I didn't, that the majority of people in developing countries, they don't have laptops like that. They don't have, they're handed a phone, and that's when they're suddenly connected to the world. And so you're going to see, mobile is just going and going and going. So make sure, and even now today, I realize I'm on this a lot more than this, right, than my laptop. And you still see some people whose sites don't look good on mobile. So like really, I think mobile is something from a technological point of view that you have to make sure you're on top of. That is absolutely critical. It's just a no-brainer. But it's kind of an obvious, but I want to bring it up because a lot of people still are sitting in front of the screen and they're not thinking how things look or feel or are navigatable.
I do agree.
On the phone. The second is communication is going to be even more critical. That even though we think that the technology is replacing human skills, that the human skills are just being transferred into that technology. So good writing, good speaking, good ways to get your point across. If you need help with that, maybe get some coaching around that. Because if you're going to step into some leadership role, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And then the third is, I really think common sense coaching and consulting is going to be the biggest need because everything's getting so complex. Most of my coaching is not about amazing new ideas. It's about helping my clients sort away what isn't in line with their goals at the moment, but still helping them think long term. And sometimes just, kind of getting them to look at something and go, hello, and I need this too.
Yeah.
So really, even if you're just really good at kind of seeing things from another point of view and giving advice, you could make a good income from like coaching or consulting in business. A lot of consulting, there's a guy I follow named Alan Weiss, and he's big in the consulting world. And he really says most of his career has been walking into these boardrooms and first of all, knowing that he has something to offer, right? You can't go in and be timid, but going in and pointing out the obvious, pointing out saying you guys are missing the whole point here. It's the common sense that they get lost with. People get lost with because of all the complexity.
Yeah,
so I think those three trends are important.
Thank you. I do agree. And it's like you said, mobile is just coming. And I myself, on top of what I should do, but I forget to test that it's working on the mobile.
Yeah.
And if you can't communicate what you're all about and who you're helping, then you have nothing to sell. So.
I mean, you still see people doing these big launches of webinars, and then I'll be in the car. I'll be like, well, maybe I'll tune in and listen to that thing, and you can't access it from the phone. And I'm thinking, you are kidding me. I know you just make sure, a lot of, especially women and moms, the only time I have to myself usually is listening in the car when I find myself. So that's when I'll listen to a webinar even, or, you may have something that's visual, but a lot of people just want to listen to it. So make sure it's accessible.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So what is the best advice you received?
That I received from somebody else?
Somebody else, yeah.
The biggest barrier that we all have is trusting ourselves.
That's beautiful. I do agree with that too. What if you were giving yourself an advice when you started up, what would you say to yourself? Like, when did you start up, by the way?
Yeah, my last job was 98. I was working at a small ad agency in New York, and I did not like the guys I worked for, but I loved working at a small company because, I got to do everything. And I realized I like variety. I'll get really bored if I'm doing the same thing for a while. That's why I love being an entrepreneur. But that's why I'm also good at starting things and not finishing them. So that's why we need team. That's another call. But I saw I had a skill. I was a freelance I wasn't freelance yet. I was a copywriter. And what a copywriter does is she writes ads, brochures, newsletters. And I didn't realize I could do that on my own. And there was this guy who came and went from the office. His name was Eric. And I remember one day I was like, how do you get to come and go when you want to? I have to be here at 8:30 to 5. And even if I'm done, I have to sit here and, sharpen pencils or whatever. And he said, oh, I freelance. He said, I do design, but you could do this with writing. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. Wow. He's like, you could get clients. A lot of ad agencies hire part-time help. They don't want full-time. I'm like, this sounds amazing. So I just quit. And I wouldn't recommend this, but I was so excited that I was just like bursting. I didn't realize this was possible. And so, it was a few weeks later, but I did some research. I got online. I got a few part-time little projects. I wrote a brochure for a funeral home. I would just take anything that came my way. And that's how I started my business. I knocked on doors of ad agencies. I would deliver, back then printed kits of my samples and said, I'm available to help if you need part-time work. This is just how it all started. The internet for me changed everything because I was marketing one-to-one. I was going to networking groups and meeting people and asking for referrals. And I think we actually don't do enough of that now. We forget it's all online. But back then I started a little email newsletter with 10 people. And that is what started growing the list. Today it's a list of about, I think it's just under 100,000 now.
Wow.
And that changed everything. That gave me leverage, right? Wow. So there's the leveraged part of the business.
So if you were going to start all over again, what would you tell yourself that you didn't know then?
I don't know if I'd change a thing, honestly. Yeah, I really don't. I'm trying to think of, I mentioned just believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And just enjoying it, just knowing that I still look back and I sometimes I miss those little days in my little New York apartment where, it seemed like such a struggle then, but looking back, it was so simple. It was so simple. Like all I had to worry about was paying my rent.
Yeah.
Oh my God, and like buying my shoes at Payless, and all that. And it was just such a, just enjoy every chapter of this and know you're going to be okay. You'll be just fine.
Do you think everybody can do this online? Or do you think you have to have something special about you?
Well, you've definitely got to want it. And I think that's the biggest differentiator. If you aren't really willing, at the beginning, there is sacrifice. This isn't easy all the time. You've got to work hard. You've got to figure this out. But if you are so excited that you want it that badly, you'll make it. If you're not, that's when people kind of, there's statistics saying that, I think, what is it now? 7 or 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first few years. It's not that the businesses fail. It's that the business owners give up.
Yeah.
It's not that the business fails because you don't just create a business model and go build it. You get bumped down, you change the model, you change things, you change your pricing. You realize, my God, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. just go with it. Just go with it and know that's part of the process. Success is never a straight line.
Awesome. I love that. So to end this up, what are you most excited for the next half year? You mentioned London, which is close to Norway.
Yeah, I hope you can come over.
Yeah.
Well, the London, I've done, you came to, I do these Repower workshops a few times a year. And And the one here in the States was a little more of a workshop. It's kind of turning into this like high-level women's retreat. And I'm having 2 guest speakers. I haven't announced them yet, but one is the woman I mentioned earlier who has this global mobile platform. She has content on mobile in like 63 countries or something crazy. So she's going to come and actually talk about, you know, how to make massive change, how to make massive leverage using technology. I have another speaker named Elizabeth Philippouli, and she's done work with Queen Jordan of Rania. Queen Rania of Jordan, all kinds of royalty and leadership programs for women and girls. So we're going to add a more international, like global feel to this one. And that's in London, September 27th and 28th. And you can learn more. Just go to allybrown.com and get on the list, and then I'll be sending something out. I will
definitely put the link under here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on a personal note, you know, we're selling the house and we're going to travel. I've realized Brett and I both love traveling, and we kind of thought we couldn't do that when we had the kids. And we got this big house and all this stuff. And now we just, we're kind of restless, and we're very excited. So I think we're coming to France for October.
That's amazing. You know where my house is, and it's always open for you guys.
We may crash. You may find people at your door.
I won't be there, luckily, with 2 twins. But yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys went to Australia as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
and, you know, it's not easy, but it's really fun when you get it down. When you figure it out, it's fun.
Wow. One last question. You look amazing all the time, and you are, you know, always giving your best. What do you do to, you know, renew yourself and to get energy? I know you told me to get into the spa, and you gave me some great books. And what do Ali do to get her energy back when you give and give and give?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm not great at this. You know, I haven't exercised now in a few weeks. Like I fall off the wagon sometimes, you know, but I'll tell you what is non-negotiable is that weekly massage. Even when I was broke, I remember I found a massage school and you could pay $20 to a new graduate and get a massage. It wasn't great, but it was good enough. But like body work is essential for us when we're in, and especially women, we need to realize we don't have the testosterone in our bodies that men have. So we literally cannot create energy like they do. It takes a lot more out of us. So we need more downtime. We need more rest. And when I first heard this, I started crying because I kept thinking there was something wrong with me. I'm like, why can't I work like they do? I want to work like men do. And I would have these physical breakdowns and get sick. So simple things that we hate hearing this, but right, sleeping, eating well, when I don't drink a lot, that helps. You know, and just the basics. But one thing, you know, when you have the kids, I always heard this before I had kids, and I'm always like, you know, why don't these moms take care of themselves? Blah, blah, blah. And then you have the kids and you don't realize it just kind of, it's not even a decision you make. It just kind of happens. There's so much stuff to do that gets pushed to the back. Yeah. And then you realize, okay, no, I got to put this in the calendar. And I don't even like, this sounds funny, but I don't even like going for the massage. But once I'm there, I love it. But I look at that in the calendar and it's something else to do. Mm-hmm. But once I'm there, I feel brand new. So doing a few things a week that really refuel you and having that alone time if you need it, or, you know, whether it's going to the gym or taking a walk or getting away from the desk. And you know what's ironic is I get the best ideas and my most creative times are when I'm away from my desk. Sometimes when I'm on the massage table or taking the walk or in the pool. Yeah. We have to remember that, you know, work time isn't just in front of the computer.
Thank you so much, Ali, for sharing your genius. I just love you to death.
I love you too, Gree. This was fun.
Thank you. Det var Ali Brown. Ikke det forfriskende å høre på amerikanere som bare har slått igjennom det og har ene foten godt plantet på jorda og den andre halvveis til månen blant stjerner. Jeg håper du ble inspirert til å virkelig tro at dette klarer du også. Altså, å høre på meg som en nordmenn, hørte du hvor rar jeg ble når hun ga meg et kompliment? Jeg visste ikke hva jeg skulle si enda jeg opplærte dette. Jeg bare så takknemlig for å ha denne dama I livet mitt, for alt hun har lært meg. Og hvis du vil dra til Repower I september I London, så husk å sette deg på lista hennes. Hun bare rå. Og jeg gleder meg så til neste gang jeg skal se henne. Enn så lenge, tusen takk for at du var med I dag. Har du lyst til å gi et kompliment og en tusen takk til Ali, så gjør det på bloggen. Send her your love. Jeg elsker at du med hver uke, og jeg håper du lærte like mye som jeg gjorde I denne episoden. Hei så lenge! Jeg håper du ble superinspirert til å ta nye action etter denne episoden av Gründerkanalen pluss mye mer. Gå nå til grysynding.no og legg igjen en kommentar på denne episoden om hva du tar med deg. Jeg vil gjerne høre fra deg. Og få mer gründertrening på skapdindrømmejobb.no. Glem heller ikke å abonnere sånn at vi treffes neste gang på Gründerkanalen pluss mye mer. Ha en fantastisk dag, så høres vi.